to my channel. So today's video is going to be on my experience having a Mac interview, or my interview with Mac. Yeah, my experience with my Mac interview, whatever. This video today is going to be on me just telling you guys about my experience with Mac and my interview that I had with Mac, and basically what to look for and what to know, and just the things that happened to me. So if you guys don't want to see me sitting here talking, I'm not doing makeup or anything like that, you guys could just exit out. If you want to stay, if you're in the process of going to an interview, even if it's not Mac, or if you're going to a Mac interview, definitely stay and pick up these pointers. But anyway, so first things first, I want to tell you guys how I got the interview. And the interview came upon, I had applied for Mac a couple of months ago. Didn't hear anything back, because basically my resume is all medical on it. So I was like, whatever, they're not going to call me back, which is a bad attitude to have. But so I got this email, and it said they were holding a job fair in Orlando, Florida, which is by me, about an hour away. And I was like, great, I'm definitely gonna go. I responded back that I would be there. They told you just to bring your resume and dress appropriately. That's basically all she said. If you have a portfolio, to bring that. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna have your face-to-face interview. Now, what I did was I studied up on Mac like crazy. Like, I basically YouTube, Googled everything. I wrote down here all my notes for you guys, because I didn't want to leave anything out. So the first question you need to know, and this is like a must, if you need to get a pencil and pen, go get it now, because this is the first question that you need to know, is why do you want to work for Mac? That's it. That's the main question they're gonna ask you. Why do you want to work for Mac? Make sure you know why you want to work for Mac. Don't sit there and be like, well, I just want to work there because I think it's cool. No, be specific why you want to work there. Be honest why you want to work there. I mean, honestly, if you just need a paycheck, don't say that. But I mean, if you're applying for a Mac job, I feel like you're an experienced makeup artist, or that's something that you want to do with your life. Basically, that's the way I see it. So obviously, just be honest, and if whatever you want to say about the company, it's a great company. Whatever your answer, just make sure you know why you want to work for Mac. The second thing is know the history of Mac. Know everything about Mac. When I tell you everything, make sure you know how Mac was started, who created Mac, what was it created for, who was it created for, every single thing. And this is basically all on their website. You guys don't have to go looking far for all this stuff. You can Google it, you can go to their website, you could go to more YouTube channels, whatever you guys want to do. Basically, make sure you get all that knowledge. Make sure you know the year that Mac was started. Make sure you know where it was started. Make sure you know who bought out Mac. Make sure you know what was the first US store. Just make sure you have all the ins and outs of how Mac started and what Mac is about. That's like number two. Like, you definitely need to know that. That's a must. And like, honestly, to tell you the truth, with any company you want to go for an interview on, you should be actually looking up the company, because I think it makes you stand out more if you know about the company that you're going to apply for, because it makes you look like you did your homework. So basically, I mean, it is a good thing. Even if I'll never use these things again in my life, like let's just say, God forbid, I don't get hired, then okay, I know about Mac. Okay, whoop-de-doo, I'll never use it again, but whatever. Now, what if I do get hired? I know about the company. If I get a customer and a customer asks me about the company, because you do get customers that do that, I just even small talk, whatever, you know at least what you're talking about. So I would definitely make sure you Google everything about Mac, the background and everything that I mentioned. Make sure you do. Know the social responsibilities of Mac. Know the Back to Mac program. Know your Kids Helping Kids program. Know the Viva Glam program. Know all these programs. Google it, read it, know it word for word, know it by heart, have it in your brain, because that is very important. For me, I feel like Mac is a great place to work because of what they do for charities, and for their AIDS fund, which is kids helping kids, and it's a personal thing for me because my father passed of AIDS when I was 17. So I used that in my interview because that is a personal thing to me, and that's something important to me that a company does. Not a lot of companies give back to, especially one that I'm deeply affected by. So you know what, just use a lot of your experiences, just be honest, make sure you know what you're talking about, study that, read up on it. If you got to read 2, 3, 4 times, make sure you do that because that is one of their main things that they will ask you. The next thing is know what MAC stands for. MAC stands for all ages, all races, and all sexes. Make sure you know that. I also incorporated that into my answer when she asked me, why do I want to work for MAC? Why do I want to work for MAC? Because there's no prejudice. Any sex can work there, male or female, age or race can work there. You see Spanish people, you see white people, you see black people, you see all types of different cultures working there. So I made that a big deal in my answer. So the interviewer actually looked at me and was like, oh, okay, and she was writing that down. Like, so you know, that's a big deal for them to know those things. Make sure you really know about MAC and make sure you know about all their social responsibilities. That's really, really important. The next thing is to know your product. This goes with any company you're going to work for. Know your product. You shop at MAC. You should know the products that you like at MAC. I'm not saying know every product MAC ever came out with, but I like MAC Pro Longwear. So of course I'm gonna list that as one of my products that I like. I made sure I knew of 6 products, which I know a lot more, but I just made sure that these were the products that I would talk about if they asked me this. Know MAC products. Also make sure you go there with MAC on as well. If you're gonna go there with something else, just make sure you know to substitute it when they ask you what you're wearing, say a MAC product. For me, I didn't want to do all that. I wanted just to use MAC on my face and make sure that if they ask me those questions, what's up? Make sure you're wearing their eyeshadow. Make sure you're wearing their lipstick. I was wearing their foundation, my Pro Longwear. I was wearing their lipstick. I was wearing their eyeshadow. I made sure I wore everything. Why? Because when they asked me what I was wearing, I didn't want to be fumbling around. I knew exactly what I was wearing, so that's what I left it as. Just make sure you do that because it's really important. Another tip is I knew a lot of people were going to be wearing nude lipstick. Nude lipstick is in. Obviously, we all love nude lipstick, but I wanted to stand out a little bit. So I put on MAC Heroin, and this was like at 10:30 in the morning. So yeah, so I mean, I feel like I stood out. There was another girl, I think she was wearing Viva Glam, and I think she stood out too. Like, her makeup looked awesome, and you know, everybody was basically wearing nudes, but us too. So I think, like, just try to, whatever your best feature is, make it stand out, and you know, just kind of be yourself. That's like the main thing. But anyway, let me get back into the questions. As far as knowing your products, also you must wear all black. You have to be in all black attire. That's basically what they wear, all black. A lot of cosmetic companies only have you wearing black. It looks more professional. That's what you should be wearing. I wore a nice black slacks, a nice pair of black slacks with a nice black shirt, and I wore a black pair of pumps because they look professional. They didn't look like hooker boots. They didn't look nothing like that. But I didn't wear flats. I saw a lot of people were dressed really well, but then you had those 1 or 2 that were like in a tank top and leggings, which I don't think that's professional, but that's just my opinion. Me, I think you need to go really professional. Like, don't go out and buy a $70 shirt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying put on a pair of black slacks, a nice black shirt, maybe a nice accessory. Make sure you have your nails done. Even if you paint them yourself, make them look nice. Make sure your makeup is on point. I mean, obviously you're going to apply for a makeup job, so you want to make sure everything's on point. You want to make sure your hair looks good. You want to make sure your shoes are clean. Just make sure you're on point with everything. It just goes with anything being said. You just want to put your best foot forward, and the first impression is always a lasting impression. So you just want to make sure that you are definitely making a good impression. So and that's even like, for example, for me, my pants that I have, they were like full of lint, and I was like, what? Like, they pick up lint so bad. And I brought my lint brush with me, and I was like linting myself until I got in there. So I just wanted to make sure I put my best foot forward. So the next thing is bring your resume. Also, if you have a portfolio, bring your portfolio as well. You don't have to have that, but I didn't have one, but just make sure you bring your resume. I bought 4 copies of my resume just in case. I actually have 2 resumes, so I wanted them to see my retail resume, and I wanted them to also see my my medical resume too, just to let them know that I did work before. I mean, I did retail, but that was my part-time jobs in between my full-time jobs. So if you're a type of person that you work, you didn't work like me, if you worked in like medical whatever and you do great makeup and you want to, you know, go into makeup and you've worked retail part-time, just try to do 2 resumes. I think it's a little bit better than kind of jumbling everything together like on one resume. I'm not sure if that looks really good, but anyway, so that's the basics on what you're gonna do with your face-to-face interview, and I'm gonna tell you guys how it went for me. It was in Orlando, and you go, so you walk in, and when I walked in, there is a table there. It has the big sign Mac, and then you put your name and you take one of the applications, you fill out the application. There was like a wall, and then there was the conference room inside, and then there's like the hallway, and they had seats set up facing each other, so everybody just sat down or whatever. There was guys and girls there, so they called you in one by one. Obviously not, you know, like they call, like there's a lot of interviewers. The interviewers are the managers from all throughout, like Brandon, Tampa, and whatever your area is in. But that's how it was for us, that the interviewers are the managers from like the local area. And so they take people, they consistently keep calling people back. So you're not waiting there hours and hours for your interview. I went in, after 30 minutes is when they called me in. It was a little nerve-wracking. When she said, "Hi Tanya, how are you?" I said, "Hello." I shook her hand. "Nice to meet you." Make sure your first impression is always your best impression. And you sit down with them. When you get into the room, they have like 10 tables all around this whole room. So everybody's doing their interview on these tables. So they have all these tables in the conference room, and what they do is they sit you down at one table, and that's where you have your interview with. My interview was really nice. There was a lot of other people interviewing, but nobody's really focused on you. Everybody's focused on themselves. Don't worry about that. Don't, you know, focus on them and what they're saying and what they're doing. Focus on your interviewer and yourself at that table. And the first question she did ask was, "Why do you want to work for Mack?" And I told you guys this would be a question that I knew that they would ask. So of course I gave her my answer. It was a really good answer. She jotted everything down. She wrote things down. She was like, "Oh, that's perfect," whatever. She asked me also, what products do I use from Mack? Also, I knew that what was I wearing on my face from Mack, and I knew that as well, so I gave her the answer. You know what's so funny? That when she asked me why did I want to work for Mack, I threw in a lot of the social responsibilities of Mack as well. That way she didn't have to ask me all those questions later on. So when I said I wanted to work for Mack, I blurted out my answer to her, gave her that answer, and then I took the social responsibilities part and put that in there as well. She was impressed with that. You know, I thought I did really well. I was nervous. I think everybody's nervous, but I kind of took like a deep breath before I started and say, you know what? You just got to just go with this. You know, you practiced your questions like 2 days ago with your husband. You know this. You've been reading up on this for 2 weeks already. You got this. Just, you know, just be yourself. So that's basically what I was. I was myself, and she asked all those questions. Obviously, she was impressed, thank God, because she asked me to come back for the makeup interview part the next day, which I was ecstatic because I didn't think that she was gonna ask me to come back, only because I thought they would call us. But she asked me right then and there, so I was like extremely happy when she said that. Of course, I said, of course, I'll be there. She told me to bring makeup brushes, clean makeup brushes, and a model. Okay, no problem. So that's what I did. I left, I went back home, whatever. I had a good feeling about this. I read a lot that what they do is they switch the models out on you. Not all the time, but sometimes they do it. I called my best friend's daughter to come with me. She's 20, and she came with me, and she basically, we went inside there the next day, and I was the 11 o'clock portion. So I guess what they do is they confirm like maybe 15, 11 o'clock people with their models. We all go into this room, and I guess this is basically Mack's headquarters in Orlando, because it said on the door Mack. It wasn't like a hotel room or anything. This is basically where their, I guess, office building is at. So we go into the room and we're just sitting there. A lot of people are really nervous. Some people are like, oh yeah, I got this, whatever, you know. So you got those people like that. And I was just sitting there just talking to my best friend's daughter. We were just talking on the phones, whatever. So they come out, like 2 people from Mack come out and say, okay guys, we just want to talk to you briefly. You guys, please, you know that you were selected. Not everybody yesterday was selected to be here today, so please give yourself a hand for that. So obviously we were like, yeah, okay. So then she was like, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the models back first. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she said, you know, she continues on about they're gonna show us how to clean everything, blah blah blah, everything like that. Okay. When you're coming to this interview, I'll just back up real quick. Make sure you're in black as well. But my thing is, I didn't want to wear heels because I knew I was going to be on my feet. And I didn't want anything kind of taken away from that. And I didn't want to be, you know, sometimes you're wearing heels and you're balancing and making sure you walk right. But I wore flats, but they weren't totally flat. They had like a small heel, like this small, which was perfectly fine. I saw girls there that had heels on. Like, I thought that was so ridiculous, because if you know, unless you're a pro at heels, then go for it. But I'm not, and I was just like, I'm not wearing heels. I'm just gonna wear like a small heel. But that's one thing I will tell you. You're gonna be on your feet running around looking for makeup. Try to be as comfortable as possible. Just be professional. Don't wear slippers, flip-flops, or anything like that. You can find nice flat shoes, or maybe even with a small tiny heel. That's what I wore. So anyway, so they take the models back, and then she's still talking to us or whatever, and then she says, okay, I know you guys bought your models, but you will not be doing the makeup on your models. So right there, I was like, I knew it. So you saw a lot of people, their faces drop, man. Like, they were like, oh my God, no. Like, you could tell in their face. But I knew, because I've watched so many videos of Mack interview process and all that stuff, Mack's interview process, that I knew basically that they could do this to us. So I was like, damn. I was like a little annoyed, but I can't, you know, I was like, whatever. It is what it is. You do what you got to do. So they brought us in the room. I looked at my model, the girl I bought, and she looked at me, and because they told her, she told me later on, they told her that I was not going to be doing her makeup. So I looked at her, she looked at me. Basically, you got to pick your model. So I was the 3rd person in the room. So I bolted to this little blonde girl I saw, because I said, I'm going to do her makeup. I'm going to stick with something easy, because this is a test. I have 30 minutes to do this makeup, and I don't want to be here trying to color match people. And at this time, I don't want to do that. I don't have the job yet. I don't want to do that yet. I want to be able to do the full face of makeup in 30 minutes, because you want to be able to impress these people. You don't want to be here color matching and making sure you do all this stuff. So I bolted to her. She was really nice. I went up to her. I said, hi, my name is Tanya. I'll be doing your makeup. So then everybody gets their model, their person, and then the Mack people with the clipboards, they say, okay guys, just come to the front for a second. We're going to teach you how to clean the products. You're not going to use your hands on their faces. You're not going to, you're going to clean every product that you use. It's very difficult when you don't normally have a habit of cleaning your products. So I would tell you guys to really take in at this second what she's saying. Don't be, you know how sometimes people are talking and you're like, oh Lord, you know, like, no, listen, 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 because when you're not used to doing something, you're not gonna do it. It's not a habit of yours to clean makeup. I don't clean my makeup when I use it, you know, so if it's not my habit, I'm not gonna do it. So I knew I had to make sure I was listening and watching how she cleans everything. So Mack's big thing is, when you start out, you have to put the tissues on the little portion of the table that you have. Keep in mind that you're sharing a tissue box, you're sharing the makeup cleaner, you're sharing the little white sponges, you're sharing a garbage with the person next to you and maybe the other person next to you. Don't think that they're going to put you on your nice big desk and say, okay, there you go. No, it's not going to be that way. So I kept that in mind, and I knew I would be sharing stuff. So then they go back, they say, okay, we're gonna give you a count to 10, and when this is done, you guys have to go and you guys have to do what you gotta do. They counted down, they said, okay, go. So the first thing I did was ask my model, what type of skin do you have? Do you wear makeup? What type of makeup you want? All those things. Engaging with the customer is probably number 2 as far as doing makeup and engaging with the customer. You have to make sure you talk to them. After I did that, I was there for like maybe 3 minutes asking her questions. I didn't want to spend 10 minutes because I knew that was going to take away from my time. So I ran and I got all my stuff. The first thing I got, and I will tell you guys that this is the most important thing I felt, I got my foundation and my concealer, because once that foundation color is gone, you can't find that color, and you're not going to want to look all over the room at other people and ask to take their stuff, because they're not going to give it to you. So basically, you better get everything that you need. I knew what this girl wanted. She asked me, oh, I just want a day look. I don't wear much makeup. I knew I wasn't making her look like she was going to the club. I was trying to give her a day look, maybe a nice lunch with her family, whatever, work attire, whatever. Work attire, like work look, whatever. So I grabbed my concealer, my foundation first. I picked up a moisturizer, and I also picked up an eye moisturizer because she told me that she had problems with her under eyes being very dry and being dark. Now, the funny part is my model has very dry under eye circles underneath her eyes, but I've done her makeup before. So I was like, okay, I think what they did was they told the models before we got into the room, tell them to emphasize on one thing you really need or you really want. Like, let's say my girl, underneath her eyes, she doesn't like. One girl probably said, oh, I want a fuller lip, whatever the case is. So I got all my products. I was back in my station in like maybe not even 3 minutes. I got everything. I took the tissue, put my products on the tissue. I got my cleaner, my makeup cleaner, put it right next to me, took out all my brushes, got my brushes. That's another thing. Make sure you bring clean brushes, no dirty brushes. Even if they look dirty and they're just maybe stained, don't bring them. They will take them away, because I saw them take away 3 brushes from a girl, and that's just a knock on you, so don't do that. So yeah, so I put my makeup brushes down and I started asking her no, actually the first thing I started doing was telling her what I was doing, because that's a big thing, communication. So, okay, I'm gonna put this moisturizer on your face because you told me it's dry, and we're gonna make sure we moisturize underneath your eyes. It's very important, blah, 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 blah. That's, I mean, it's so essential for you to communicate with the customer. I know it's the model at that point, but you want to communicate because they want to see how you interact with somebody that you don't even know that you're doing their makeup. You can't touch their face. That's one thing. Another thing is, you know how you pump your foundation on the back of your hand? You cannot do that. You have to pump it on the tissue. All these things you have to remember, and it's really hard because you don't do that on a normal basis. So I really had to remember to make sure to pump on top on the tissue. Don't touch her with my hands. And another thing is, I'm sorry if this is like all over the place, but this is the stuff that I'm remembering. I did bring one of those hand sanitizers, and before I did anything, I showed her that I was gonna clean my hands with my hand sanitizer. And I noticed one of the Mac girls with the clipboard, she looked down and she wrote something. So that's probably a big thing, is to have your hands always constantly clean. And I showed her I'm gonna clean my hands with the hand sanitizer, and would you like some? No? Okay, fine, whatever. So I think my thing was me being like really messy at my station, because I'm so not used to working on a 30-minute time constraint to do makeup. It takes me like an hour, sometimes longer than that, to do my makeup, just because I'm slow. But I knew that I had 30 minutes. So basically, you want to make sure you get all your products. Don't be running around. I did have to go for one product after I got everything. When I was done with her face, I did forget powder. So I ran back and got the powder and did that as well. But I would suggest you make sure you get every single thing, because if you're looking, and I turned over and I looked at the girl to the right of me, and the girl 10 minutes in, when I already was doing my concealer on my girl, on my model, this girl was still sitting there, the model, waiting for her person to come and do her makeup. That was a definite no-no. And so, you know, I think my whole thing is you have to make sure you get in there, focus on what you got to do, focus on the model, the customer, focus on them, ask them questions. Don't only ask them about the makeup. When you're applying the makeup, you could say, oh, but where are you going tonight? What are you doing tonight? Oh, where are you going tomorrow? Whatever, like small talk, because they want to see that you can engage with people. I think I'm a good people person. I think I talk a lot, as you guys can see, with to a lot of people. So I think I didn't have any problem with that. That wasn't my problem at all. I think my nerves get in my way a lot. And at one point, the Mac girl came up to us. So I was like, oh my God, what is she going to tell me? But she came with her clipboard and she was like, oh, you did a great job. It looks beautiful. So I was like, oh my God, thank you. So she gave me that compliment. One of the other people, like behind the table from me, the Mac people behind the table, she was like, oh, just one critique, you know, just throw out your tissues. That was my main thing. Like, I was a little messy. I was basically done 3 minutes into when she said time's up. And they'll tell you, you have 20 minutes, you have 15 minutes, you have 10 minutes. So you know, it doesn't just creep up on you. So I was done. The girl was happy. I made sure I also gave her the mirror to look at. That's another big thing, is to make sure you give her the mirror to look at. And I was always constantly asking her if she was okay, if she liked anything. At one point she told me she wanted more mascara, so I was like, okay, I'll put more mascara. The good thing was my model had beautiful lashes. I made them lashes look like falsies, because she had, I mean, eyelashes touching up here. Like, it was just, forget it. So that's what I lucked out with. But so then they said, okay guys, well, some people were gonna ask to stay and some people will tell to leave. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna ask people to stay, and they said they're gonna ask people to stay and ask questions. So I'm just like a little bit like confused. Okay, so I'm just like, all right, putting my stuff back. You have to put the makeup back or whatever. And I noticed the girl to the right of me did not have her whole full face done. She only had a little bit of eyeshadow. She didn't put foundation, nothing, anything. And then I noticed my model that I bought, the girl that was doing her makeup, totally didn't do a full face at all. All she did was her eyeshadow, and it was, I mean, it was really jacked up. And I'm not a hater. I will say when a person's makeup looks good, because that's me. The girl that was to the other right of me, she did her whole full face and it looked really nice. But for her and me, they said, okay guys, you guys could go. So we're thinking, I mean, I guess she looked at me, I looked at her like, okay, so whatever. So they kept the girls that didn't do the full face, which is really weird. Like, the ones that really had the problems, they kept them asking questions. So my model that I bought, Tiffany, we're walking on and I'm like, wow, that's so weird. Why would they keep the people that really didn't finish, you know? And she was like, well, I know they asked the girl that was doing my makeup, what could she do better, or what did she think didn't help her or whatever. And the girl said, oh, that she only had 30 minutes. Now, that, to me, you shouldn't say that, because they're giving you, basically, they're telling you if you can't do the makeup in 30 minutes, I mean, this is the interview. This is what they want. They want you to be able to do makeup within 30 or 40 minutes in Mac. A lot of places are the same thing. When I worked in Lancome, they didn't want you with a customer for 40, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. They didn't want that. I mean, you have to be able to do makeup and move it and keep it moving, sell your products and move on. Basically, that's the nature of the beast. No, they don't want you just sitting there like, you know, having a cup of tea with the customer and doing their makeup for 2 hours, kind of like keeping it moving and getting the next customer in, you know. So yeah, so you know, so I don't know what was going on with that, but that's just my view, and that was my experience on my interview. I did have my interview May 3rd. I think it was May 3rd, no, and March 3rd and March 4th. So they did tell me, well, they did tell everybody, if they don't call you by the 27th of March, you did not get it. If they do call you, that's great. Now, I haven't gotten a call yet, so I have a couple of more days. I'm just hoping. I mean, they complimented me on the makeup. I did the full face. I think it looked really well. I'm just hoping that I got it, and if not, you know what? I'm still gonna go back in 6 months when they have another job fair, and I'm gonna try again, because you know what? if you fail at one thing, if you fail at something, you know, don't give up. I've done that in the past and I've regretted it, that I gave up and didn't go forward to the next step. So I'll definitely, if I don't get the job, I'll definitely be going back. And now I pretty much know, you know, the gist of what's going on, so I won't be as nervous. So basically just take into consideration what I said. Just make sure you know the knowledge of Mack, you know everything about Mack, you know about their products, about their you know about their social responsibilities. You wear all black, your resume, and I think you guys will be great. Be on point and try not to be so nervous. So yeah, so I don't want to make this video like 20 minutes long, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what I went through when I went on the interview, which was, it was like the most nerve-wracking thing I think I ever did in my life. But you know what? I did it, and if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I'm gonna try again. Yeah, so hopefully you guys got some knowledge out of this video. And yeah, so that's it, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.